Hello, it's the 1st of January 2020. There we go. Today I'm going to be making a video and I'm going to give you what I think are 5 hints, 5 tips to help you for your gardening efforts in 2020. So, the first one, I've made a little list here so that I don't forget. So the first one I would say is to tailor make your gardening efforts towards you and your situation, your individual characteristics, yourself, your circumstances, etc. So let me elaborate on that. Now, it's very easy to look around and see what other people have got, see what other people are achieving in regards to gardening, and get to a degree a bit despondent regarding this. And it's very easy to do in many aspects of life. One, you may look and think, oh, someone's got some better trainers than me, something like that. That's an intriguing example, but I think you understand where I'm coming from. The keeping up with the Joneses, if you will, that old expression. So basically, it all depends on where you're coming from, okay? Now, I've spoke a lot before about this particular issue, and it's very relevant to many people. And, with regards to the cost of living nowadays, the pressures people are under, mortgages, rents, bills, you get the idea. If you're having to work 5 or 6 days a week to make ends meet, to pay the bills, and they're long days, they're 10, 12-hour days, and you've got to work 5 or 6 of them a week, and you've got other commitments as well. You've got dependents, you've got people who are relying on you, you've got other things you've got to do, and then you look on the internet or on the television, you see someone who's got a lovely plot of land, a lovely garden, no matter what size, and you think, cool, they've had to put loads of time into that. Is that going to be relevant to yourself? Excuse me. Yes, is that going to be relevant to you and your situation? For example, you've seen me now, if you've watched me for a while, how slowly this project here has come along. I didn't do it overnight. I've had to do this in amongst doing many other things, okay? And because of that, or partly because of that, it took a bit longer than it would if I was in a different situation. But that's okay, and I'm grateful for what I've got and the situation I'm in. I'm grateful for it because, when you're forced in a way to take time over doing things, whether it's to do with, financial issues, time issues, combination of the both, you can end up appreciating things a lot more than if you were to a degree in more ideal circumstances. So there is that. And with regards to your own characteristics, you've got to think about your physical health. This is a big part of it. For instance, if you're, I don't know, an older person, or indeed a younger person, but you've got like a physical condition, a physical ailment, whatever, you've got a bad back, that would be the obvious one, which would make gardening, allotmenteering, food production, whatever, much more difficult than if you were, more able-bodied, more well, if one will. So that's got to be taken into consideration as well. So what I say to people is, if you want to have a go at gardening, allotmenteering, or whatever, start off small, start off slow, start off gently, a bit like you would with any new thing that you want to get going. It's like, you can look at, I've used this example before, a really good musician. Like last night I watched that New Year's Eve thing, and I saw Craig David on there. And in my opinion, someone like him is incredibly talented. I remember watching Craig David 20 odd years ago when he released his first album, and I dabble myself in music. You've heard me play a little bit of a dodgy guitar, but I know that I'm never going to have the musical talent of, say, someone like Craig David, or guitar-wise, Eric Clapton, Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page. It's just not, it's not me, and it's not going to happen, but that's okay, because everybody is different, and everybody has their own gift, their own skill in life. You just got to try and find it. So tailor-make your effort towards yourself, and if for whatever reason your gardening efforts can only get to, at the moment, growing some chili plants on your windowsill or some salad leaves, brilliant, do it. because you don't know where it's going to lead you. Okay, you know, your health may improve, your situation may improve, you may end up with more time, but just gently start off. And I think if you do that, that'll get you a lot further than, you know, really, well, I want to do this, I want to do that. No, you know, okay, if you're in ideal circumstances, then that's maybe possible. But most people, myself included, are not in ideal circumstances for this sort of thing. But that is how it is. Now, another point is expect mistakes, okay? And have backups for your mistakes, if you will. And excuse me, everyone is going to make errors. For instance, you saw earlier on in the year, everybody makes mistakes with regards to gardening and indeed life in general. And you may remember my failed melon project, which failed largely because of I didn't, you know, put the effort into it that I have done in previous years. And to a degree of it, it will be to do with the weather, but most of it was my own fault, and I'm willing to take that and accept it. And one thing you can do for mistakes, right, is over time you will learn what is likely to be more successful in gardening. For example, I had the watermelons there, the plants, the melons, or whatever, horn melons. They failed. Okay, that's what happened. But I had a load of plugs ready that I grew of chard and spinach, ready to go straight in, you know, in case there was any failures or some space came up. So in time, you will learn, you know, how to have standbys ready in case you do get a failure. So to a degree, it softens the blow, and you'll still get, you know, a nice bit of crop production. So there we go. Now, another point is to cover the basics, okay, first. So all depends on what your main aim, of course, is, which comes back to my first point. But, you know, if your main point of doing all of this is food production, okay, you really want to produce good quality crops and food to eat, okay, fine. Well, covering the basics, all right, so let's say you grow potatoes, courgettes, chard, kale, a few carrots, beetroot. Yeah, you get where I'm coming from. You're going to get the chances of getting success with spinach, I may have said that already or not, something like that, you're more likely to get success with than, say, growing oranges, even though there are some small ones on there. So I think you understand where I'm coming from, you know. So if your main goal is food production, go with good, tried and tested, traditionally grown stuff in your area that you know you're likely to get more success with. That's not to say don't grow exotics or things that aren't more, you know, less typically grown in your area, your climate, but cover the basics first if you want crop production. And of course, as I spoke about yesterday, you can always dabble with things like, you know, peaches, nectarines, whatever, persimmons, you know, things that are not necessarily exotic, but more exotic than, say, apples, pears, plums, cherries, growing them here in the UK or a similar climate. But, you know, you really can slowly elaborate on your efforts. But the first thing I would say, particularly when you're getting growing, is get yourself established with the basics. So, for instance, you know, you might think before planting, getting orange trees, you might think about getting an apple tree first and getting that on the way. And then once you build up your base, then elaborating. And another point is, this is a very difficult one, and that's to not try too hard. Because anything in life, I think one can try too hard, you know, to just keep trying and working hard and work. But sometimes when you're trying too hard, and I've been guilty of this in the past, now I want to get this done, I want to get that done, you can make yourself feel a little bit, you know, fed up really. And you don't need to necessarily be at it 100%, you know, work. You can put something in, stop, think, leave something for the next day or the next week. You know, don't feel that you have to be at it all the time, reading, looking at YouTube videos, out in the garden allotment, weeding, planting, whatever. You know, you don't need to do that. Let it slowly happen, and you'll find that to a degree you'll be guided by the seasons. You know, for instance, like, you know, the time of year at the moment. Yeah, you've seen me grow some stuff on the windowsills and in the, probably don't think you can see them behind there. You see them? Yeah, see that in the the polystyrene containers there. You see me do that, but that's like a little, a little bit of fun, if you will. But to the main time for sowing and all that is in, spring, summer, and autumn, and they're not generally in the winter. So, don't try too hard, and sometimes just sit back and chill and think and relax. And I think that can be sometimes one of the hardest things for people to do in any aspect of life, and gardening is no exception. And the final one, you probably know what this is: have fun and enjoy it and love it. Okay, because, excuse me, ultimately, you've got to remember that the main purpose of this, the main purpose of it for most is food production. Most, not all, but we know that. But having fun and enjoying it, whatever the reason you're doing gardening and allotmenteering for, enjoy it. When I used to have an allotment, I remember talking to a chap down there, and he had a desk job, during the week, and the allotment was the exercise that he got. He'd rather go down the allotment and do some purposeful exercise, if you will, than he would go out running or going down the gym or whatever. And I understand that, much could be considered much more productive. But of course it depends. You've seen me have a go at growing exotics and things like that. I know that success is less likely with them than it is the regular stuff, but I'm enjoying it and I'm having fun doing it. And I think that's one of the most important things. And people have spoken a lot recently about, there's a mental health crisis here in the UK and probably other areas of the world. And gardening has been shown in many ways to help with this. I mean, Monty Don has spoken about his own depression and how gardening helps him. I think he spoke about soil being a very good healer for his problems. So if that's your purpose, and it's a great purpose, and if it helps, do it. So have fun. Love what you do. Don't take it too seriously. And remember, if you get a crop failure, you can always go down to greengrocers or whatever and buy, if your plums all get maggots in them, you can always go and buy some plums, can't you? Or find someone else who's got a tree. So don't take it too seriously. So anyway, there we go. Here's to a new year, a new 2020, or the 2020 year of gardening productivity. I'm going to be really hammering away this year at this channel, and the gardening to go here and make the food production lovely and beautiful. A lot of the establishment is done. If some of you are new to my channel and you're looking at where I'm at now, go back and have a look at where I started. I posted a picture on Instagram the other day about what this project looked like. And you can probably find older videos on the channel what it looked like before all this started. And that's coming up to 4 odd years ago now. And the channel was at a previous site. Somebody asked me the other day, do I have an allotment? I did, but I don't anymore. And several reasons for this. This is once again, you see, tailor make your gardening efforts towards you. Basically, it was time and effort. I mean, I work as a maintenance gardener, so, when you've been cutting a hedge or whatever and you come back and you're absolutely tired and aching, and then you've got a weedy allotment down there to go and do, I thought, nah. So I gave it back and let somebody else have the pleasure of it. And I've decided to focus more on domestic growing. I think I made that decision about 18 months ago, and so far it's been a good choice. And also, it makes it quite relevant to many people out there who don't have all the time and resources and whatever to dedicate to their gardening efforts. So I'm a real world gardener. There we go. If you like my work, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. Check me out on Dan_Home Gardens on Instagram if you're interested. I welcome all comments, questions, whatever. Post them down below. And all the best, and I'll see you next time.